Hi, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you some homeschool items that might be good options for Amazon Prime Day. So if you enjoy this type of content and other homeschool and lifestyle content, please remember to subscribe and let's get into it. All right, I just want to put a big disclosure at the beginning of this video that I don't know if any of these things are actually going to be on sale for Prime Day. I just love them. We use them a lot. They're homeschool favorites. So I wanted to share them with you just in case they do happen to go on sale over the next few days and they maybe were something you were looking at. I usually put stuff in my cart throughout the year and then, you know, stuff that it's like we don't need it now, but I'd be interested in getting it maybe if it was on sale or if we really decided we wanted to try it. And then I just check on those days if those things are on sale. There's obviously times where I will buy things that are not already in my cart. I might see someone else on YouTube or Instagram showing stuff, but most of the time that's what I do. This year I actually don't think that I'm really gonna be buying a whole lot because we just don't need a bunch. There's a few things in my cart, but for the most part there's just really not that much. And it's not stuff that I'm like really like urgent and being like, oh please go on sale. It's just there to check it out if one day I decide that I really want to try it. So this isn't me saying go buy all these things. Like just because there's a sale, we shouldn't go buy stuff. You know, maybe it's stuff we've already been looking at now that it's on sale. You know, maybe there's Christmas gifts that we've been looking at and now they're gonna be on sale. You know, that stuff's more reasonable, but don't just buy stuff because it's on sale, you know, because then you just end up with too much stuff. You spend way too much money. I just want to show you a few options, things that we like to use in our homeschool. I have 6 kids ranging from almost 1 to 12 years old. And so I'm just gonna show you mostly for the older kids what I like to use, some things that might be helpful for you. And I also have a few like mom things that I like to use for homeschool. So I'll show those ones at the end. So the first few things are more electronic type things because I tried to pick bigger ticket items to show with you. There's a few that probably aren't as expensive, but I'm like, some other things are discounted like books or art supplies or things, but not usually as largely as some games or electronics. So that's what I'm trying to share with you today. So this is the Amazon tablet, the Fire tablet. I'm not even sure what it's called right here. And we've had this for a few years and my kids use it when they get to pick their own screen time game, and that's once a week for like an hour basically they get to pick. So they don't use this all the time, but they use it some of the time. Something else that I like to pair with this, which could also be on sale, is the Osmo program. And so it sits in the little base. There's different educational games, and usually there's like an in real life hands-on thing that they can be doing, which is something I really love about Osmo. So there's math things, there's language arts, there's drawing, there's more things that are just for fun. So there's lots of different options. And you can buy a bundle. You can even, if you have an iPad, so they have stuff for the Fire tablet and they have stuff for an iPad if you have an iPad. So the bases are different. So make sure you're buying the right base if you don't have one already. So that was something I wanted to mention because that's what we use this for. And then also just the Kindle. Their Kindles are almost always pretty discounted for these sales. And so I have a Kindle, my husband has a Kindle, and we've had ours for years, especially mine. We've had it for years. Like when we were very first married, and that was about 15 years ago. So it was like one of the very first ones. It's very old, but it still works extremely well. So this last year for Christmas, I think, we got our kids a Kindle to share, and they do a pretty good job. There's times when they struggle a little bit or when someone's reading a certain book and someone else wants to now have a turn with the Kindle. But this one came with a year of like the Amazon Kids books and stuff like that. So even my my 7-year-old that isn't quite a reader yet, she's starting to read, but they have like some simplified books. So it can be really fun too for even younger children. And I think they have a few different covers, like it came with this cover. So anyway, this one did not come with this cover. I bought it separately, I believe. So I'll try to link as many things down below as possible, obviously, so it's easy for you to find. But because I'm planning to post this the day that the sale starts. So hopefully everything will be easy to find. But this is also just a really good option, or if something you've been thinking about especially like we love books, but sometimes it's so hard to just keep accumulating books. There's just not places to put them. So this is a really good option for that. All right, so basically the rest of the stuff in this category for more like homeschool kids stuff are games. Again, they're usually more expensive. And so if they're on a discount, it's a great time to get them. So I was gonna run through, we have more games than this. We don't have as much as some people do, but we still have a good amount. I was gonna run through some of the ones that I like to grab more often and why they're, you know, they're just more helpful sometimes to my kids, or a wider age range can play them at the same time. Okay, it's not just like, oh, only the older kids can play this. Like my 7 through my 12-year-old, that's for my kids fit in that range from 7 to 12, can play these games at the same time. So I feel like that's also helpful when you're teaching a wide range of children. So the first one is cross math. This one, now that I've said all that, is actually the only one I have not played with all my kids. I've only played this with my oldest. I like this game. We just have not gotten into it very much, but it is like Scrabble, but with math. And so it's really cool. It's a fun idea. It is a little tricky to try to figure out. Maybe if you're very familiar with Scrabble. I didn't really play Scrabble growing up or anything. Like, it's not something that I'm not very good with words that way. So if you're good at that, maybe you'd be really good at this. But it's the same idea, right? You have spaces where you can get more points and stuff like that. So this is a fun one. We haven't had this game for a super long time. And then one of the math games though that I do love, that all of my kids have played, is Prime Climb. And I like this because it's so adaptable to a variety of age ranges. So my 7-year-old can play it up through my 12-year-old. It has addition, subtraction, division, multiplication. So if you have kids that can only add and subtract so far, then you can just play with that. Like, you don't have to add in anything else. Or if you have kids that, you know, like my 7-year-old might add and subtract, but then my 12-year-old can do multiplication and division, but we can all play at the same time. So yes, there might be a little bit of advantages to knowing and understanding more math, but overall, like, a variety of ages can play, and it's teaching you a variety of math and how to integrate all the different types of math. So I really like that. So this is a good math one. I gotta figure out where I should have put another chair over here so I can stack them. I'll have to put them all on the floor in a minute. And then I wanted to mention a geography game that we love, and that's Ticket to Ride. This is the first Journey one. And so this is, again, good for a variety of age ranges. It gets very easy for my older kids, but it's still challenging enough that they want to play. We do have the original version, and I have played that with some of my older kids as well, and that one works well. It takes a little bit longer. It is a little bit harder. You know, the routes are slightly longer with the trains and stuff. So this is a really good option if you want to introduce some like US geography, but you don't want to overwhelm. I feel like this is good for that. And then if you want kind of a economics type game, my husband would be proud of this because he's an economist, but Catan is about economics. So this is a really good one. This is the junior version, which we don't play this one as much anymore. We actually have the normal or original version, and that's the one we've been playing more. But this is a really good introduction, and I like how it's slightly different. So I feel like with Ticket to Ride, First Journey, it's fairly similar. Like, there are a few rules that are different, but the whole layout is very similar. This one is different. And so the idea, like, there's still similarities, but it's like you're playing sort of a different game. So I feel like you can play both and it still be super fun because they're enough different that way. But we really like this game, and it's easy for younger kids, you know, to pick up on. They might need to play with an adult or an older sibling for a while, but it's not so bad. I'm gonna set these on the floor and then we'll go on to the next game. The next two games I'm gonna show you are by the same like company. They're the trivia challenge games. So we have the geography one, we have the science one. I think there's one for animals or something. I can't remember. It wasn't super intriguing to me, so I didn't grab it. But I really like these, both for geography and for science. There is a little overlap between the two things, but it has different categories. So like there's a know it one, there's one where you rank it, like you put them in different orders. There's one where you look at pictures and have to say, oh, what's this, or where this, you know, maybe it has a certain state on it and you have to tell them what the state is. And there's an easier side and a harder side. So even if you're playing with younger kids and then older kids, you could always read the harder side of the card if you're playing with the older kids too, so that, you know, they're not just getting all the easy answers and stuff, and it's not fair. Like you can make it harder for the kids that you need to make it harder for, which is something, again, that I love, because then I'm not having to play a game with this group of kids and then with this group of kids, we can all just play together. So these are some that I really love for that. And then the last like more educational game that I'm gonna mention, well actually, yes, this is the last one. That one's in a different category. Is Word on the Street Junior. We actually don't have just the normal version. I'm thinking about getting it because now my kids are older, but this is also fun. We haven't played this one in a while, but it's, you know, they have it's upside down over here. It has a street and you put the letters in the middle, and then they get categories and pick a word that's gonna help them move the most letters. And so it's a very good like thinking game, strategy game. You know, it helps so much with language arts and spelling. There's so many things involved in this game, which is why I like it. It's teaching so many things in one spot. So I feel like that's a good option. And then on the floor, these are the last two that I'm gonna mention right here. These ones are a little bit more just fun, but still can be expensive games. So Drop It is one that everybody has loved. They've even taken it to like church activities and just other gatherings, and it's just a fun game, and it's an easy game to play and still like be able to have a conversation with people. We have another one, I think it's called Build It. I'll try to link it below. And that one is also really fun. My kids all love it. A bunch of friends in the neighborhood love it. And then there's also Ubongo. This one's more of a strategy type game. It's a very logic thinking type game. We have the regular version, and this is 3D, where the pieces are, you know, obviously 3-dimensional versus just 2D, but it gives you a puzzle and tells you what pieces you can use, and then you try to figure it out really fast and be the first one, and there's a whole game that goes along with it. But again, it's a really good logic, like thinking type game, and helps you with like spatial reasoning type stuff. So this is also a really good option for homeschool and just letting kids play. It does produce fights. Sometimes this one can be a little tricky if you're playing with a variety of ages, because sometimes it's just easier when you're older and have had more experience in the world to put these together, but that's not always the case. Some kids are just really good at spatial reasoning without any practice whatsoever. So sometimes my kids are like, you're cheating. They're not cheating, but they just get mad. So that's what happens when we play games and try to work together. So it ends up in fights. But this is another good option if you're looking for a fun new homeschool game. Okay, the last few things I wanted to mention in this category are just a couple of brands that we like on Amazon. One of them is ThinkFun. So they have a roller coaster game. It's a lot of STEM learning type games, and that's kind of what they do. They have Gravity Maze. The roller coaster one we really like, and my kids used to play that a ton. Ours is getting really old, and it's in a box, like you wouldn't even be able to tell what it is, which is why I didn't bring it out. But that one's super, super fun, and I even like doing it, like putting together these 3-dimensional roller coasters, and then you let it, like a little marble, basically ride down it. It's super cool, but it gives you like, this is the pieces you use, and this is where you have to start and finish, and you have to fill in the middle part. So again, you have to think through this spatial reasoning, engineering. There's a lot of good skills involved with that. So ThinkFun is a really good brand for that. And then I like learning resources for little kids. I haven't really mentioned anything for little kids, but this was something we used when my 7-year-old was younger. And now we've pulled it out a few times for my 2-year-old, and it's fun. And like a little bit of sorting. They have lots of games. There's lots of sorting games. There's lots of just learning early numbers, all that kind of stuff. We only really have some of the younger games and stuff, so I'm not familiar with other things that they might have. But this one allows you to do so many different things. You can sort the fruit, you can put them by color, you can put them by actual, vegetables, they're not fruit. But then there's numbers, you can do different games with the numbers once they can become familiar with that. So there's lots of games. It gives you a paper in here to go through all those. So if you're looking for some good options, maybe for a little bit younger kids or preschool age, I feel like Learning Resources is excellent. It's a good place to start. The last thing I wanted to say is always just check out like art supplies, books. Again, these are things that might not normally be super expensive, and so they might not be heavily discounted. Sometimes they go on lightning deals and stuff like that, but Melissa and Doug's stuff is usually pretty great. Some of that stuff is pricier and some is not. But just look through, if you have some of those things you've been waiting to buy, just look through and see if any of them happen to go on sale or on lightning deals. I think you can get notifications for some things if they do happen to go on sale or any of those things. So pay attention to those kind of things because it's a good time to get them if you need them, right? If you don't need them, don't get them. All right, so now for a few more mom types items. Obviously my kids still sort of use some of these things, but the first one is binding machines. I only brought down one of ours. This is a comb binding machine. I also have the spiral binding machine. That one is much heavier and way more expensive. I did not want to get it down, so I did not bring it. I'll link it down below though. And both of them are good. I think if you just are wanting to try out binding, I would go with this comb binding machine. I actually have a very old tutorial on it from when I very first started YouTube. If I remember, I'll link it down below. If not, you could probably search for it and find it. But this one's great. I use it for like workbooks. Like some people want to use it for like memory books. I don't do that. I just don't care. But I like to use it for either workbooks. I've used it in the past for some scripture type packets and just things like that. Some math booklets that we used to use for like preschool and kindergarten. And then I wanted a spiral binding one because spiral binding is like this, right? Like my planner right here. So it can flip all the way around, which is very, very nice. Comb binding is a little bit harder to do that, and sometimes it pops off, but usually I'm only using them for a short amount of time, so it doesn't matter too much. And I am part of a charter school, and so they paid for the spiral binding one, and that was another reason I got it, is because I didn't have to pay for it. But if you just want to try one out, I feel like this Fellows comb binding machine is really, really great. So I can make sure I link those down below. And then another mom essential thing for homeschool is water bottles, because your throat gets very dry very fast. I love my Simple Modern water bottle, okay? It is so good. Both of these are pricier, I think $30 to $40, probably depending on what color you get. I love this one. The only thing I didn't love about it is when I take it out in like public and other places, I'm like, my straw is just so exposed. And so then I saw people with the hydro jug, and this one, you know, the straw pops up at the top, but I like a bigger straw. I don't like the teeny little straws. And so I thought I'd give it a try. I've only had this one for like a week or so, and I really like it. I like taking it with me places. Usually at home I use this one most of the time. I had some place to go this morning, so this is the one that has water in it. But I can just set it in the car. It does not fit quite as well into cup holders. It fits if you have like a normal size cup holder. This bottom is skinnier, so it just fits way better. But it'll fit in most. It just won't sit all the way down in it like the Simple Modern one will. Or is simply Simple Modern, I don't know. Anyways, and so I really have liked it so far. Just the fact that I don't have to worry about it spilling or anything like that. And the straw is a little bit more like protected. And so those are the water bottles I've been liking lately. Again, don't know if they will be on sale. And then these I just listed here because I love pens, even though pens can get expensive, but a lot of times you could still find them at a pretty good price. But I just thought I'd mention a couple that I've been loving lately. So the first one is the Tool, or T-U-L, I don't know how they say that name. I love these pens so much. I like super fine pens. There's another zebra pen that I love as well. I'll try to remember to link those ones down below. Maybe I'll write it down right now so I remember. But my husband has been stealing those from me because he's like, they look so nice in my journal. But I love super fine tipped pens. And so these fit the bill. And I only have the boring colors right here. The whole pack came with a variety and like some bright pinks and blues and some fun colors, purple. Those are the ones I'm using around the house. So these are the ones that I have left right here that I haven't used. And some of them I ran out of, but I really love, these are the needlepoint ones. And then something else that I really enjoy is like the Papermate pens. These ones are medium. I don't know if they have anything smaller than medium, but this is still pretty small, like a pretty fine tip for like a marker. So I really love these ones. I grabbed like similar colors. I must not like these colors as much because they're the ones that are left, but those are a few of the pens that I really like. And then also I wanted to mention some speakers. These ones are from Amazon. I'll have to see if I have another big speaker that I like. I just don't know if it's sold on Amazon. If it is, I'll link it down below, but I don't know if it is for sure. But these are really nice for just if we have an audiobook situation or a YouTube video. Sometimes, especially with my toddler, it gets very loud and it's hard to hear those types of things. So having another speaker, and I don't know if we've successfully paired these together, but they can be paired together so you could have sort of like surround sound going on. But we did use them a lot when we were doing, was it history? I think History with the Good and the Beautiful. They have a lot of audiobooks that are just on the Good and the Beautiful's website. And so that's how we listen to them, so they'd be a little bit louder. And then the last, I think, big thing I have to show you is just these Sterilite bins right here. Again, I don't know if these will be on sale, but it's something that I use a ton of. So this size, and then they have ones that are like half this size, and I use them for everything. If you saw my recent like declutter of my homeschool closet, then you will see the bins because I just use them a lot. And I love to store stuff in them. They're just a really good size for so many things. My kids have them to organize things in their closets. So they're just really great. If you're looking for a type of bin, I feel like these ones are really good. The last thing I wanted to touch on, and then I promise we will close the video, is just homeschool supplies in bulk, which I kind of already mentioned, school supplies. But this might be a good time if some of them go on sale to buy them in bulk. But again, only if you need them. You don't need supplies for the next 10 years. And so this year is one that we need to stock up. Last year we did not get new like pencils, colored pencils, pens. So we're a little bit depleted. That'll probably be in a future video where I show like going through that and replenishing all that. So if you are at that point where you need some more, or your kids want to pick out some cool things, this might be also a good time to do it if stuff goes on sale. All right, so those are some of our homeschool favorites that might be a good option for Amazon Prime Day. Link down below what you're thinking about getting homeschool-wise. We'd love to hear. I would love to hear. Even though I don't need more stuff, I would still love to hear what you're getting. And put it down in the comments so that everyone can benefit from it. And remember to give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you next time.